Beautiful day, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Sage Wolfe, and I am out in scorching Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico. It is really hot today. It's about 34 degrees, feels probably about 40. It is lovely though, but as you can see, I'm slightly warm. Today, we are going through the Powerpack Braveheart Nation show, and so I have four beautiful ladies on here with me today. We got Deborah, Magdalena, and Lorraine. So what is the Powerpack Healing Show? The Powerpack Healing Show goes over what our Powerpack energy medicine would be. So we have multiple different types of energy medicine. When you come out to Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, or some of our practitioners carry a lot of our energy medicine devices. But that goes anything from like the Avicin for your microcirculation, the Bioptron for pain and wound healing, the Sentient Element for using right frequencies, the near and far infrared lights. We have the vitamin D light. There's lots of like smaller degree energy medicine devices that are amazing to have in your own household for your health and healing. And we will be doing shows. We do shows on the Avicin, on the Bioptron specifically. So you guys can check that out at the Doc of Detox, braveheartnation.com. But today we are going over our two most powerful energy medicine devices that we carry to really expedite your healing process, to really amplify your healing process, and to make it more graceful. Because sometimes, depending on the situation we're in, the severity of our health, if I'm in a detrimental state, sometimes when I'm detoxing, I can feel a little bit worse before I get better. And some of this energy medicine just brings that vibration a lot higher because we're actually putting high vibrational things back into it, like pure energy. We're oxidizing the area, we're oxidizing the blood, we're getting things to the areas that it hasn't been in a long time. So we're bringing the life force back in. So we're going to talk about the Cardio Med Bed first. The Cardio Med Bed, it is so fantastic for circulatory issues, cardiomyopathy, heart palpitations, anxiety, and like even people who are like, oh, I'm anxious, going on a bed that is going to contract around me, I feel like would make me more anxious. Nah, it's really interesting because the Cardio Med Bed, you're set up to an ECG machine while you're lying on this bed, and you have cuffs that go around your calves, your thighs, and like your pelvic area, just about near your torso, like my abdominal area. And it's going to contract in between each individual heartbeat. So if I'm somebody who lives in fear and my heart rate is through the roof, that bed is going to contract so slow because your heart's beating so fast. It needs to kind of go to its grace to work for you. And then you're trying to, like, while you're on the bed, you're trying to control your own breathing, your own heart rate, so you make the bed work better for you. Because like it can be more graceful or it can kind of be more aggressive depending, and it's not aggressive of like it hurts or anything. It's aggressive of like it's not fluid pumps because you're not in a parasympathetic state. You're not feeling fluid. You're anxious. You're out of alignment. And most of us are, because in this day and age, there's so many things out there that are setting us off. And our bodies are really worn out. Our batteries aren't ever really fully charged anymore. We're not out in the sun enough. We don't exercise enough to get our bodies moving. So if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. And that's why the cardio bed is so great. I have very bad plaque buildup in my arteries. I have arterial buildup. I have varicose veins. I just know that like my joints are starting to calcify. I'm getting edema in my legs. I want to stimulate the best circulation ever, but I know where my body's at right now. I don't have the physical energy to get out there and work out and get on bicycles and swim every day. I'm going to try, but I just don't have enough energy. And I'm making it like, I'm not talking about myself specifically. I'm putting myself in the position of somebody who's not in the best state of health. And so, in that state, you're like, oh, I don't want to work on this like diet and work on my exercise for the next year to get my lymphatic, my circulatory system moving really well. So then it's like, we're going to set you up on 10, 20, 30 sessions on this cardio bed. And it's going to be like you're running a marathon every day, technically, for your circulatory system, but without the damage to the joints, the nervous system, all of the above, causing inflammatory issues. So the cardio bed is the best thing I would say out there in the world for circulation. So if you have like a circulatory issue, I would try to find one of the practitioners that carry the cardio beds because it is so fantastic if you have a circulatory issue. And yes, they are a little bit more expensive energy medicine devices, but like, guys, People are out there spending $20,000, $15,000 on Sea-Doos, snowmobiles, that thing, this thing, $50 a day on packs of cigarettes. The money is wasted in areas that you think, oh, I need this. But if I cared about myself and I put away some savings over time, I'd want to have some energy medicine in my home. Because no matter what, I'm outputting energy every single day. So when I come back to my home, which should be my Zen zone, I can lie under my Bioptron light. I can lie on the cardio bed. I can do a little bit of Cellsonic. And yeah, if you don't just want to have these for yourselves, you could become a practitioner. By doing these things, this is where the benefits are going to come. Because you can become a practitioner. We promote you that people can come to you to use your cardio bed, to use your Cellsonic. So then it becomes a business in itself. So there's no limit with these things. And with the cardio bed, you get quite a bit. So it's like a 2-year warranty. And then we do the weekly Powerpack shows. So if you have any questions, we try to promote you. We work for you guys. And then when you do, if you wanted to buy a cardio med bed, it's like, oh, I've always wanted to take Dr. Wolfe's course, but I can't get the energy medicine and take the course. By getting the energy medicine, we give if you get the cardio med bed, we give you 1 free practitioner training of your choice. So either the whole life coach or the Wolfe non-surgical, you would get that free. And then you'd be part of the wholesale VIP program, the affiliate sales, the weekly practitioner Zoom trainings with myself and Dr. Wolfe. And then access to referrals and networks to the practitioner world map, especially when we get the Braveheart Nation app going. When that app is going and all our practitioners are on there worldwide, and you're able to go, oh, this practitioner is in my area and they really focus on this, and I'm able to go heal with them on that. Oh, I'm traveling to this area, I'd like to go see them. You're able to do that, and that's what the Braveheart Nation app is going to be all about. It's about building a community. We are one nation. And so that is what I would say, if you're interested in circulatory issues, if you have circulatory issues, you have clients with circulatory issues, check out the cardio bed, guys. It is fantastic. And then I want to talk about the Cellsonic. The Cellsonic is one of the coolest energy medicine devices out there for seeing change almost instantaneously. And I always tell people, if you're at a really optimal health, I'm not perfect, not even close, but optimization of healthy-wise, I don't really get sick. Maybe sometimes the upset stomach here and there, depending on what I ate. Oh, that's only if I change my diet, because then that's my fault. But I don't really get too much fatigue. My energy levels are up. I don't have many metabolic function disturbances happening to myself right now. But when I use the Cellsonic on my areas of detoxification, I'm always wiped out that evening, no matter what. No matter what. If I do my abdomen and pelvis area, if I do my spine, because the spine holds so much toxicity from all the toxins we've taken in throughout our life, and that spinal fluid contains so much of that toxicity. That's why as we age and as we get older and as we continue with our really non-life-giving diets, I start to get that brain fog. I start to get the fatigue. I've got lack of energy, lack of motivation, irritability, my mood swings, all this array of weird emotions and stimulation that I'm not used to, because you're not getting proper spinal flow, and the spinal flow that you are getting, it's getting cut off by 30%, and it's toxic now. So how do we flush that out? Yes, through diet, through hydration, through all the beautiful things, because your spinal fluid's mostly made up of water. But we put energy into it by the Cellsonic. So what is the Cellsonic? The Cellsonic is VIPP pulses, very intense pressure pulses. And very intense pressure pulses, it doesn't mean oh, it's very intense. Some areas, if it's calcified and you're doing it on bone, it can hurt because it's doing little micro fractures within the actual tissue or calcification itself. So, but the pressure pulses create micro injuries, alerting the body that there is a problem. I'm just reading a little blip for you guys right now. As the pulses travel through the body, no harm is done to any healthy cells, because the Cellsonic knows it goes in as a love harmonic. So that means everything is frequency, and we always talk about frequency. And so the Cellsonic, when it was invented, 25,000 volts is insane. That sounds ridiculous. The regular outlet is 120. You get shocked by that. You're like, damn, that hurts. I don't want to do that again. but it's 25,000 volts into each individual cell, bringing so much life energy, creating the proper spins for the mitochondria to get to 2,500 revolutions per second. Because as we age, our cells are only spinning at about 400 to 600 revolutions per second because our light has dimmered. You know when you're watching like that cartoon or that movie and it's in that dark room, but there's a bright light and it starts to dimmer. We've allowed that to happen to ourselves. We need to find a way to ignite it. And if that's not going to be through diet, through hydration, through lifestyle, through like the people I hang around with, because the energy that I'm around is going to be rubbing off on me constantly. So if I'm not a high enough vibration and I'm not willing to put in the work, because getting healthy is not easy, guys. It can be enjoyable, but I'm not saying if you're really sick, for you to transfer. And I'm not saying being healthy is hard, but it's the program you were running. It's going to be very difficult to go from a very unhealthy lifestyle immediately to a healthy lifestyle and feel like, oh wow, that was just grace. Good luck. You're going to have all this pushback, pulls, damn, stomach irritation. I don't know, headaches. I don't know if I can do this. Man, it was easier eating the burgers. That's our lifestyle. And so when I feel like my light has diminished to that degree, I'm not willing to put in the work, because if my body is in a detrimental state, you got a year to a year and a half to completely change your whole cellular structure. Remember, every 7 years, you're a completely different person. You've shed every single cell that you used to have. And every day, you lose 30 million cells and you create 30 new million cells. But that doesn't mean your cells have an imprintation of the old program. Because it's like the lining of the intestinal wall. I love comparing it to this one because it replenishes itself so fast. But it's not like you were only healthy for 7 days or you were only unhealthy for 7 days. So the lining of your intestinal wall, which is pretty much our immune system, 80 to 85% of our immune system, it is our first brain, not our second. This is our second brain. This is my communication center to make this stuff fire properly. So that lining of my intestinal wall is called my peritoneal. The peritoneal lining is super thin and it can break down easy through like indigested foods, bad carbs, bad sugars. That will rip through the lining because it doesn't go in through with grace. And so it's not high vibrational. It's dead food. And so that peritoneal though replenishes itself every 7 days. But think about it. I was unhealthy for a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years. I've never been healthy and I'm 55. Okay, well, you've damaged that lining and you've only ever told it to come back crappy. It's never been able to come back in a fortified state. Your body doesn't even actually know what true health and healing is. And it's so funny. I'll work on people and I'll get them on a really good diet and they'll be above the age of 40 or 50 and they're like, wow, I feel better than I did at 30. And I'm like, no, you just felt like shit at 30 because you drank and you ate like crap and you didn't give your body the right stuff, because at 30 you still felt like you were invincible. And then things started to really slow down. Even like me though, I don't like drinking anymore. I used to be and I promote health and healing, and I'm gonna be honest, and I like to be an open book. I don't have any skeletons in the closet. I used to love drinking. I used to be like, oh, it's my way of decompressing, because I didn't have enough love for myself. And now when I drink, it could be 1 drink, it could be 4 drinks. The next day, I feel like somebody ran over my skull. I'm 27 years old. People are like, oh, you're not gonna get hungover until you're old. I feel old now when I drink, because you know what? My body is only getting healthier. Back when I was such a young, high vibrational being at 18, 19 years old, my body didn't even know what that was. So it's like almost just taking on just something new. It's not going to tell me it's completely bad just yet. It doesn't even know what it is. Now I know what it is, and my body's like, please don't. You used to do this to me, and it really put me into a bad state. I started getting eczema. I started getting irritability and all just small things, but I wasn't true health and healing for what I wanted. So now if there's a little event or something going on, I'll have a drink or two. I'm not saying never have a drink again, but I'm saying we all have our vices. But it comes a day when it says, are these vices benefiting me? Because you can have a good vice and you can have a bad vice. But even something good can turn out bad. I don't want to go to the gym for 6 hours a day, 3 hours a day. that might be wearing on my mentality, but I'm doing it in a negative way. I'm not going out of love and grace. Everything is about love and grace for us as beings. And it's about finding our balance. And that's why I'm saying I'm not perfect. I used to drink pretty heavy. I don't anymore because I don't like the way it makes me feel, and I don't like the person it made me be and the mistakes I would make when I would. And we all have a choice. And it's the choice of, do I want to continue living this program? And if you do, it's not that you're a bad person, but you're not ready to grow. And maybe you're going to have to come back or learn a harder lesson down the road. So try to always just choose the best option for yourself and the people that you love around you. And so I want to expedite my healing though. I don't want to do the 2 years of hard work. I'm going to start putting energy into this area, and I want to put beautiful energy. And so, or I have an area that is so calcified. I have a client come in, they've been using a walker they had a hip replacement, they've still been using a walker for the past 7 years. Damn, that's a calcified hip, and I know that's an artificial joint. So the body's only way of protecting itself is masking it off with fibrin, which is scar tissue crystallization and calcification, but its fibrin goes to the area, which is lactic and uric acid. But when that lactic and uric acid binds with the histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol, because most of us live in that fight or flight state, we then bind that to crystallization. Then you can do micro tears within the tissue that's the crystallization is holding on to. It's going to hold on to the tendons, ligaments, and actual surrounding tissue. Because it's wanting to protect us. It's our body's way of protecting. But I'm not healthy enough and I keep tearing. I'm too dehydrated, I keep tearing. So I build up this excess calcification. Or you actually do have an artificial joint. Think of a sliver. I will always make this comparison. Think of a sliver in your finger. It's really annoying and it bothers you. So now, I'm going to put a big sliver into that area with also a couple slivers holding it into place. And I'm just talking about the artificial joint. And then if there is screws and pins or plates, or depending on what's in the area. And sometimes they still to this day are using cobalt with their joint replacements, which cobalt causes systemic tissue disintegration, cobalt poisoning, and then that's going to cause nearby tissue to disintegrate. So we need to do our research before we opt in for surgeries. Yes, in major critical accidents, it's necessary. They're reattaching your arm. They're placing your joint back in its socket because you shattered it. They're miracle workers when it comes to that stuff. But you're limping around and you never really got in an accident, and why are you continuing limping? Why are you even allowing yourself to continue with that limp, to let it get to that state, to let it make you feel debilitated? If you have any type of pain in your body, guys, address it. Pain is your friend. It's your GPS. It is telling you to wake up. So, I'm going to go back to the Cellsonic a little bit though. So the Cellsonic puts 25,000 volts as a love harmonic into each individual cell. So if the cells are damaged, it'll work on them. If the cells are healthy and natural, it won't. It kind of skips over it. But it goes in on a 1 millimeter gap every time that very intense pressure pulse is pulsating. And it goes in and it causes microfractures within the cell, within the calcification of the cell wall of whatever is kind of erratic or misaligned at the moment. And so it just knows how to get your body back into alignment if you have calcification. It was invented, though, for gallstones and kidney stones back in 1981. And they made it because they wanted to do a non-invasive way. Because a lot of times when somebody goes in and even just goes for a kidney stone, they don't even have them. And they'll give them somebody else's that was stored away. There's stories behind this stuff. But they wanted to do a non-invasive way to break up the calcification somehow internally. So they went in for gallstones and kidney stones and they started breaking up the calcification with that. Then they started using it on cellulite because fat cells are just toxic kind of mutated cells. And so we're just working on that cellulite. So it helps flush out cellulite, retone the skin, break down calcification, flush out toxicity, regenerate tissue, help with diabetes, sores, any of the above. The Cellsonic is going to work on. And it makes our job 1,000 times easier. Because I don't care what issue you have. If it's a calcification issue, if it's a mobility issue, if you work hard at it, I work hard at it together, but you work on resistance band exercises, mobility exercises, meditation exercises, and I go in with loving Wolfe non-surgical, but try to really pull that scar tissue apart, there is no way after 20 treatments, 30 treatments with the most severe case, that issue is at least 80% gone. And that's a lot of treatments. And I mean, that's in the worst case scenario. And I want people to think on here that like, oh, my case is bad. I promise you, I've probably seen worse. So your stuff, if it's irritating you, it's causing me problems, I normally tell people 7 to 10 treatments, that joint issue, that replacement, that constriction is going to be gone. But in 1 to 2 treatments, you're going to see the power of it, but we need to change the muscle memory over. But if it is so calcified, if I'm working on somebody's like, they have plantar fasciitis, and that's going to be like around their heel, and so that's called the calcaneus. If their calcaneus is actually calcified, and they have plantar fasciitis, which feels like kind of like walking on glass. Sometimes the heel is so tough and it can take so much pressure from the elbow that it's even a lot of work for me that I'll do some cell-sonic before. Or that hip issue, you've been had it for 10, 12 years, and it's so calcified that I can't break it. Like I can break it up with my elbow, but you don't want to pay the 20, 30 treatments. You want it in 6 treatments. So I'm going to say with the next, every second treatment, we're going in with cell-sonic before and after to break up the calcification in and then bring healthy blood flow into the area to reconstruct the tissue back to its original state. And so we're going to do that together, and then we'll go about it like that. And so it just depends on how you want to go about this. And so with the cell-sonic, when you do purchase the cell-sonic, the amazing thing with the cell-sonic, we do give you our free New World Practitioner certification for free. So if you ever wanted to become a practitioner and you were like, oh, I also want energy medicine, but I don't have money for both. You can do one thing, you can buy the cell-sonic. If you have like a practice and you want to carry that, then you can come get trained with us to have more tools under your belt. Doesn't mean you're exactly going to use what we have to teach. But I know that what we have to teach, there's going to be some things that you are going to use as tools. And so you would get the whole life coach and the Wolfe non-surgical for free. And then you would be, once again, part of the wholesale program, the affiliate sales program. You'd be part of our weekly Zoom and practitioner meetings. Okay, yeah, so tomorrow though, guys, I will be hopping on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be going over the perfect day lifestyle and what that is to me and what it could be to you, and why like we totally recommend, if you don't know where your health is at, you don't know where to go, book a consultation with one of our master practitioners on getting a perfect day consultation. Because we work for you, and that perfect day is going to change. But tomorrow, I will be going over that with Lorraine. Other than that, I want some of these girls to chime in and tell us how their week's been, if they've had any clients that they've been working with, any successes, any cool stories. What is going on, girls?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay, beautiful.
So I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, and I had the pleasure of meeting a gentleman who had his Achilles heel tendon, he was playing golf and twisted, and somehow he injured it. And a year later, it's still the same. And he had gone to lots of different things. He said normally he would get somebody to go in there with, infrared, infrared tool. And he said that used to take care of anything that he had going on, and it just didn't touch it. And golf season was coming up, and he wanted to be able to play golf again. So I did some non-surgical to begin with, just to map out where the problem was. I mean, it was pretty obvious. You could see the thickness and the bulging on either side. And then I did cell-sonic, and then I finished it with the elbow work, and I used an essential oil bottle to really get in there, because that Achilles tendon is probably the strongest tendon we have in the body.
Other than the iliotibial band.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very strong because it supports us, but it also gets so dehydrated as well, because remember, before muscle bellies go, tendons and ligaments will go first. And so the calf is such an activated area for our lower legs. So if the calf needs to try to stay a little bit hydrated, it'll start pulling on the actual Achilles tendon. So it's a very susceptible area to tear. It's very hard to tear an IT band. So makes total sense. But it was just a partial tear. It didn't snap. Like he never had surgery on it. It didn't fold back up, right?
He didn't have to. No.
Okay.
He didn't. He didn't. But I got him to feel it after I had worked on it, and we had that bulge 70% down. And that was just one treatment. And this was the first time I met him. Somebody had said, hey, go see her because she's doing this. I had great results. You need to go there. And, that's the way the word gets out. People talk about the injuries that they had and the results that they've got. And with the combination of the non-surgical and the cell sonic, we have got everything we need to be able to help that person heal. It's just an amazing, it's life-changing. When someone can go from not being able to do what they want, so their quality of life is starting to go down the toilet, to coming back and being able to do what they want. I mean, isn't that what life is supposed to be? We're supposed to be able to have fun the whole time. We should not be in pain. And that's what this work is doing. It's getting people out of pain.
Getting people back into their bodies. They need to know that, yes, injuries happen. I've been injured countless of times. I used to be pretty wild. I still am. I love sports. I've broken more bones than you can count. Had plenty of stitches. I got scar tissue. There's no way I don't. And so I will here and there. I'll get my Dr. Wolfe to work on me. I'll get my master practitioners to work on me, my training students to work on me. I'll do cell sonic to keep things mobile. I know I'm only 27, but with the injuries I do have, I should be in a lot worse condition than I am. I can do a lot of amazing stuff. If you ever come out to my trainings, I'll show you some of my gymnastics. I can still move real well. And I never want to feel limited. I know when I'm 99, if I make it that old, because the thing is, it's not about my health. I'm always going to be adamant about my health. There's a lot of other stressors in life and things that can happen. I fly all the time. I drive all the time. I like motorcycles. I skydive. There's things out there that are dangerous. So in general, if you make it to that age, because I'm going to live always, no matter what I do, through health and through love for myself, because then I know I'm living through integrity, that I'm not, it's pursuit of truth of what you truly desire. I want to feel vital. I want to feel like people look up to me. I want to feel like I can help. And I don't want people to look up to me being like, I'm looking up. It's like, I would like to be like that. I want to be healthy like that. I don't want people looking up to me like looking up to me. That sounds ridiculous. I just want to be a guiding light for others to know that they don't have to feel debilitated. As you age, you don't have to be limited. And you don't have to stop doing the things you love. And so if that guy never found you, Lorraine, I'm not saying it would happen next year, but 3-5 years down the road, golf may not be in it for him anymore. Never again. It's too painful. But now he knows that, oh, you can go in and it's a scar tissue issue, and I can bring back hydration to what I did do, the damage. And I can bring back even stronger, even a stronger Achilles tendon than I had in the first place, if I give it the proper environment through resistance band exercises, stretching specific to that condition, and then Wolfe non-surgical, and then strength training. Strength training on just doing just like if I was doing my Achilles tendon, I would just do Achilles tendon squats off a set of stairs, maybe 100 a day. Have the strongest Achilles tendon in the world. But it's just being mindful, if I have had these injuries in the past and I dealt with the issue, it might arise in the future. That's what I need people to understand. They'll come in for a session. The problem's fixed, it'll never come back. Beautiful, thank you so much, I'll never see you again. Most of the people on here, even myself, we live the same program. We say we're going to do one thing and then do another, and then go back onto that same program, and even though you change for 2 weeks, 3 months down the road, you're back on that same old program that you have, and then it's like, oh, the issue arose again. So we have to go back to where that program started in the first place and do some recall healing and say, I'm not going to live that way anymore. I deserve more than this. And so what that guy is doing is amazing. He should probably get 2 or 3 sessions. And then you should do a session with him for half an hour to an hour where you teach him how to thoroughly either take a shot glass or a gua sha stone and open up the scar tissue for himself around his ankle joint, because I love helping people and I want to continue helping people around the world. But it is over time, if you think about it, and this is why I say over time, like, it's okay if you don't want to be that person to learn. But over time, it's just you coming back and me taking your money, and then your issue coming back, and then you getting better, more money, and then it's a revolving door. It's a hamster wheel. We want people to become their own practitioners. And even if you don't want to come out and take a full-on course, I would ask you, hey, you don't need to take a whole course, but you should pay for 6 hours of my time. I will teach you just how to focus on your husband's low back issue because his vertebrae in L4, L5, and L6 are fused. So why don't you learn to, or L3, L4, and L5 are fused. Why don't you learn to open up those vertebrae? And it'll just take us about 6 hours in total to learn the low back. That sounds amazing. And so why don't you spend just 1 hour just showing them right around the Achilles tendon, how to do some non-surgical with a shot glass, some gua sha stone, and then you spend another half an hour teaching them stretches specific to Achilles tendon ruptures, and then go over padding and clapping. And then it's like he can do some of the work himself. Now he feels like you didn't just say, hey, come back next week, I'll take more of your money and I'll make you feel better, but like, it's like chiropractors. I think there's amazing chiropractors out there. There is, and adjustments are great if you don't have scar tissue pulling you out of place in the first place. But most of us, that's not the main issue. And they'll be like, hey, I'm gonna see you once a week or once every 2 weeks for the next year. And some are 2 years. And it's like, why are you dealing with the same damn issue for 2 years? That issue should have changed. It should have gotten way better. You shouldn't be dealing with that exact issue for 2 years. They shouldn't be coming back every week complaining about the same freaking issue. We should be targeting different things as our body's changing and growing, and it's like, wow, no, that's not an issue anymore, but I'm starting to feel this tweak. Because if I have one whining baby and one crying one, and people are always like, oh, it's just my knee, it's just my knee. I'll do 3 sessions on their knee, I'll fix their knee, and they're like, oh, my hip feels weird, and my shoulder feels weird now. You had one whining baby and one crying one, or you had 3 whining babies and one really bad crying one. You didn't hear the whining ones until the crying one shut up, and now you're like, oh, my attention's gone over here, but my attention's here now. And so we all have, you had so many different, I always tell people to backtrack in their actual lifetime. Where was like the first autoimmune issue that you can think of, or physical issue like, oh, my neck was frozen that day and I couldn't really move. Oh, I remember when I was 12 years old and after snowboarding that day, I was limping for 4 days. And I was limping and yeah, it healed. You were 12 years old. But now that you're 56, that limp, you didn't crash snowboarding, but that limp's coming back because it was always there. You damaged the tissue. It's just the muscle memory from what was happened. So we go in with the Wolfe non-surgical, the Cell Sonic, we open up that calcification, we bring that life force back in, the tissue wants to restructure itself. Then you get on something like the cardio med bed, you bring in beautiful circulation, Bob's your uncle. There's no, I hate calling it, there's no dis-ease, there's no ailment out there that is going to exist in an alkaline, oxygenated body. If you have perfect circulation, you have perfect health. So how's it going there, Deborah?
It is great. We are here in Stuart, Florida, and my clinic is Stuart Health and Healing. So you were talking, one thing I want to mention is you were talking about the classes that get offered, and just so everybody knows, we will be hosting Dr. Wolfe and yourself here, both Dr. Wolfes, I guess you could say, here in June, in the month of June. So just to let everybody know, the Whole Life Coach will be June 5th through the 13th. The Wolfe Non-Surgical will be the 15th through the 26th. And of course, Lorraine will be teaching the Pelvic Master Class, the Restoration, on June 28th through the 30th. So, Yeah, and we also have some lectures coming up. We have Dr. Wolfe on May 29th, and then we have a day with the doc on June 2nd. And then Dr. Sage Wolfe will be lecturing on June 12th, and Lorraine will be lecturing on June 25th. So anybody who's in the area at these times, feel free to stop by. And you can go on to bhnuniversity.com and look up the information for the Stewart class. It's all there online. And if anybody has any questions, you can reach me at 305-342-9559 and check out my website at stewarthealthandhealing.com. But so I had a case recently, and she was a 58-year-old female who over a couple years, she was a smoker. So over a couple years, she was losing her voice, getting very raspy, and I guess just kind of blew it off as to that's the smoking and everything. As soon as it started affecting her breathing, and so she went in and got checked out, and she ended up having a cyst on her vocal area that was like 90% occluding her airway. So they took her in for surgery because she wasn't going to be able to breathe. And they did surgery, and she, got out of the hospital, and they told her to, to basically only whisper. She wasn't allowed to talk. So everything that happens in this area, there's always a block. So we already know that in the neck and in that area, she's blocked. So she ended up at about a month post-surgery, she came to me, and we worked, did some non-surgical on her neck, and we also did the cell-sonic too. And we cell-sonicked this area where she had the surgery. And the amazing part was after I did the first, she had 3 treatments so far. After I did the first treatment, she could actually clear her throat and swallow a lot better. And the second treatment, she actually felt something come loose, which was probably a little piece of scar tissue. And they told her she had a chance of it coming back, which is a major thing.
See, and when I'm thinking about that, I don't think it was just scar tissue dislodging, because that won't really happen. I think scar tissue was actually attaching to her trachea and causing such restriction that she kind of felt the bands of scar tissue kind of detach and now finally have movement.
Right. Well, she opened up and she could just tell a difference. Each treatment, she was able to swallow, clear her throat, and actually talk better. She still whispered, but she was, she just felt 100% better after each treatment. So it is an amazing, it's just amazing to watch somebody progress. Right now, she needs to come back for another treatment. She gets back into life, into work. And so she needs to definitely come back, which she has put that off. So that's something we all need to think about. And, just to basically love yourself enough that just because you get better doesn't mean that the healing stops. We have to do things to continue to make sure once they did this surgery, she is now going to have scar tissue because of the surgery. So we need to make sure that that doesn't come back. So she was doing some castor oil, some frankincense in the area. She was also doing some breathing treatments with the iodine, the infinite iodine, and the bright eyes and the silver bullet solution. So she's doing wonderful, and she does need to come back, but it is, again, just an amazing piece of equipment. And it just doesn't stop amazing me. So, it's just every day you just see something else. And whether it's on myself, whether it's on my dogs, whether it's on my clients, it never lets me down. So.
Beautiful. And that's just the power. And that's exactly what she's saying though, guys. Once you feel like you are at optimal health, that's when the game begins. That's when the game begins. That's when it says, hey, now let's see how long I can stay feeling like this. Why let that go? Why let that go? My friends are going out and I can, then be better. Go out and know when to hold that loving line, know when to say no. Because we're all such people pleasers. Not all of us, but majority of the population. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Even though she doesn't always give me the nice compliments, we're still friends. She's still nice to me sometimes. We get along most of the time. Yeah, but like some of those bad times, how do you truly feel at the end of hanging out with that person? How do you truly feel? And so it's not about being selfish, it's about being selfless and saying it's all about me. And I'm going to surround myself with beauty, love, and light. And if I'm not going to get that energy back that I'm putting out there, then I'm not going to have that energy stick around me. How's it going for you, Magdalena? Have you had any awesome things go on for you this week?
Hello, Dr. Sage. Yes. How are you? I'm doing wonderful, fantastic, amazing, and healthy. Thank God. Thank you for the great explanation. Last week, my name is Magdalena. I am in Toronto, and my number is 416-669-9351. My website is torontohealthandhealing.com. So I did a treatment last week, and a gentleman who twisted the knee, and he mentioned from the pain that he had from 1 to 10, that 10 it was big, high pain. Now, with the treatment, the pain went down to 1%. That is amazing. Even he mentioned
that's truly amazing. And you said him and his wife have been certified, and I think I do recall who you're talking about. I certified them about a year and a half ago. Is she still working on his knee with the non-surgical?
Yes, she's
Beautiful.
working on she's doing the non-surgical part, and they take this.
And then they come to you for the Cellsonic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he also mentioned he had a pain when he was younger, and that pain is gone. He's really amazed about how powerful this device is.
So you really retrace steps back into his aging and took something that he was noticing that he had when he was young.
That's right. So, yes, that's the work we did. And also, I want to mention that Dr. Terrell is coming to Toronto, and we hope to see you all there on May the 4th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monty Casino Hotel. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Keep on shining.
Beautiful. So guys, as Debbie was saying though earlier, we are doing some training still around the world this year. So the Doc Detox will be doing the world tour, finishing our last stop for the US will be in Stuart, Florida. That's coming up in about a month. And then from there, we'll be heading to Coffs Harbour, Australia. And then we will be finishing off the trainings in Ixtapa, Mexico, Zihuatanejo at the DoD 5-Star World Healing and Training Retreat. If you guys can't get out to a training, and if you want to experience Wolfe Non-Surgical, you want to get certified, you want to learn from us, you can also contact us, and myself, Dr. Wolfe, will fly out to you anywhere around the world, and I will train you in the comfortability of your own clinic, your home, your care center, depending on what you do and where you're at. I will come to you guys because we work for you. We want the world to heal with one person at a time, one practitioner at a time. These were already slightly practicing practitioners on here, even myself. But the thing is, we all were just regular people. We didn't know much about health at some point. And we chose to say, hey, maybe the medical system isn't the best for first-degree health for myself. And maybe surgery isn't my first option when I haven't been in a critical situation. So it's just saying, when am I going to take my power back? Where am I at? We all were just regular people that chose to say, I want to learn more about health. I want to learn more about healing. I want to learn more about me and become that authentic version of Sage or that authentic version of Beth or whoever you are. Because it all just begins and ends with you. I hope you all have an amazing day. We're going to be on next week as well. We come on every week for the Braveheart Practitioner, Braveheart Nation Powerpack Healing Show. But tomorrow, me and Lorraine will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do the Perfect Day Lifestyle. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Braveheart Nation, much love. We'll catch you in the next one.